Wouldn't the entire system work better if police, doctors, ambulance staff and firefighters could communicate with tourists in Europe's most widely used language? Later in this video, I'm going to tell you a real story about how my own father almost died here in Spain because of this exact problem. Before anyone gets really angry with me, I want to make this crystal clear. I'm not talking about all Spanish people. I'm not talking about people living in northern Spain. I'm not talking about those working in jobs where they mostly deal with other Spanish citizens. What I am talking about is very, very specific. Spanish people who work in critical public service jobs and work in tourist-heavy areas where they spend most of their day dealing with tourists and foreigners. That's the focus here, and that's the only group that I'm talking about. This means police officers, ambulance crews, doctors, surgeons, firefighters, the people who have to make fast decisions when lives are on the line. If your job is to help people in emergencies and you're working in a tourist area, you must be able to communicate with them in English. Period. Let's say you work in Málaga or Alicante or Marbella, doesn't really matter, big city. There's a serious accident and two tourists get into a fight. Let's say that one is from Sweden and the other one is from Germany. This is just hypothetical. And they get into a fight. The police arrive and their job is to calm the situation down, speak to both people, figure out what happened and decide who needs to be taken into custody. If they don't speak English, this becomes almost impossible. Then the ambulance arrives. They need to quickly know, did he fall? Was he hit in the head? Was he stabbed? Was he shot? What happened? Without communication, valuable seconds are lost. The patient is then loaded into the ambulance and taken to the hospital. At the hospital, staff needs to ask critical questions. Do you have any allergies? Are you on any medication? Do you have any existing conditions? If they can't understand each other, treatment can be delayed or it can be done incorrectly and lives can be lost. All of this could be avoided if there was a rule that people in these jobs must speak basic English. Now I'm going to share my father's experience where he almost died. This is not just theory, it happened with my own family. About 1 year ago, my father moved to Fuengirola in Málaga. A few months ago, he suddenly became very sick. He felt worse and worse, and he couldn't eat, he couldn't drink, and he started losing weight very, very fast. He called his assigned local doctor, and he had never been to that doctor before. The doctor spoke a little bit English, not much, but enough for them to be able to communicate a little bit. They mixed some Spanish and English and tried to figure things out. It took a long time, blood tests were done, and he was told to come back in a few days. When he returned after a few days, he had to provide a urine and stool sample. He told the doctor he was feeling much worse, and he asked the doctor what to do. The doctor told him to wait for the test results, which would take approximately 3 weeks. But then my father tried to explain more about how bad he felt. And the doctor, the same doctor who had spoken English with him the first time, suddenly refused to speak English at all. My father asked politely again if they could continue the conversation in English so he can explain better. The answer from the doctor was, "You are now in Spain. In Spain, we speak Spanish." The conversation went nowhere, and my father was told again to wait 3 weeks for the test results to come back. Results he clearly did not have time to wait for. He immediately booked a flight to Norway, where I picked him up from the airport and drove him straight to the doctor. Within hours, he was rushed to the hospital, and they diagnosed him with a serious virus in his lungs. One lung was not working at all, and the other one was in very bad condition. The hospital told him that if he had waited just a few more days, he probably would have died. If we had relied on the Spanish healthcare system in this situation, with a doctor in a tourist-heavy area who refused to speak English, my father might not be alive today. Should speaking basic English be a legal requirement for anyone in a critical public service job in a tourist-heavy country, or am I completely wrong in my opinion.